Hey YouTube! Yes, I realise I've been gone for like a year and my setup looks weird and different at the moment. But hey! Hey! I'm back, maybe. Hi. I'll try and explain at some point like in the future properly, but the short answer is I've been busy and had a new job and then lockdown and yeah. Oh, and I was doing a different YouTube on a different channel for like a long time and just ignoring this channel, but I am back now because, I don't know, I've missed being like a dirty little decrepit little weep. So back on my bullshit and very much on brand, kicking things off with a Yaoi manga haul because, I mean, it's been a while. So I think I've got 11 different Yaoi mangas to haul today. There will be other hauls in the future because you can't see this side of my room, but I've got a lot of crap to... yeah. But yeah, the slightly different thing about this haul is I have actually read all of these books already because when I bought them and planned to haul them, that was like right at the start of lockdown and it's been like 8 months, so I have in fact read all of these. So I can also give you like a little bit about my opinion, what I felt while reading them, if I remember, because again, like 8 months. So I realised what I just said doesn't apply to the first volume. Everything else it applies to, but just not this one. So the first Yaoi manga I have to haul today is the 6th and I think final volume of 10 Counts by Rihito Takerai. So I started reading this years ago and I don't think it was finished at the time, and I have all the other volumes hauled over on my shelf and I think this is the 6th and final volume. I think I will have to read through them all again before I finally read the finale. But I think the basic premise is there's a guy called, I think his name is Shiratani. Is that right? Yes, oh my god it is. My memory. Who is she? And he is like, he's really germophobic. I cannot remember the proper terms for it. But he sort of finds this other guy and he sort of becomes like a weird sort of like very highly unofficial therapist kind of deal. And they make this list about like what are like the 10 things you just could never see yourself doing, and they're like working through his list and it gets sexy, and that is the basic premise. But the thing about Rihito Takerai's art style is it's so beautiful. I love her art style. I don't know, it's quite like, there's nothing like that spectacular about it. It's quite like simple and basic, but it's just done really well. And like, I don't know, the way that she just draws like hair and eyes, I really like it. It's aesthetically very pleasing to me. So yeah, I can't really tell you much about this volume because I haven't read it, but it's a really popular one. Like my local Waterstone sells this and they're not really known for selling that much like, you know, cartoon porn. So I'm pretty sure everyone knows about this already. Second manga in my haul is Escape Journey Volume 1. And this is by Ogaretsu Tanaka. So I did read this one and I don't remember the plot very well, but I remember enjoying it. I can't show you. I was looking for an example of like the art style, but every page I flip to is very inappropriate. Here, look, nothing too suggestive on this page. So yeah, the art style's pretty good. And I'm pretty sure the story is that these two guys, they used to date in high school and they had kind of like an iffy breakup, stopped talking to each other, and then they go to university and end up sort of like coincidentally like meeting through friends of friends at university, and like maybe they're not totally over each other. Like, is that really a spoiler? Because like, they're on the front cover and it is a yaoi, so like, that in itself is kind of a spoiler. I definitely remember enjoying this one. This has, I think there's 3 volumes out at the moment, and like it's a little bit more of a chunky one, so if you're interested in getting invested in like an ongoing series it's very like quite slice of lifey, it's just chill, it's like just their relationship and then like there's sort of like this university life background to it. So like, I don't think plot wise it's anything that groundbreaking, but if you want something just to sort of like keep up with and that's a bit of like a longer form, like more drawn out sort of story, then recommend it. I enjoyed it and I'm going to continue reading this series. The third book in my haul, oh my goodness, right, okay, I didn't think I would like this series as much. I kind of thought in my head, I was thinking this is totally capitalizing on like the whole Yuri on Ice type vibes, and I thought maybe I wouldn't really like it, but I wanted to try it anyway. Turns out I do really like it. I really like it. And it is called Tendance, and this is by Ino Sato Presents. You can glimpse it on the cover if you're that bothered. Yeah, so it's two dudes and it's ballroom dancing. I really like the dynamic of Victor and Yuri and the pair skate, and so something drew me to this because, like, I don't know if you can tell, but it definitely has that kind of dynamic. So yeah, I feel like the basic setup here is this guy, the guy with the dark hair, is like a very sort of world famous classically trained ballroom dancer, and then the blonde guy is more I think he's more like Latin type dance. So I guess it's a style that's in the dance world seen as like not quite as like, I don't know, sophisticated. I don't know dance. But they essentially agree to like teach each other their own dances. So one of them is teaching the other guy ballroom, like classical, I don't know the different words for it, but then the other guy is teaching him like Latin style of dance. Yeah, it's, you know, it's a lot of them just sort of like holding each other and twirling and stepping on each other's feet and having to like look deeply into each other's eyes. And I think there's a lot of volumes of this. There might be like 6 or 7 volumes of this. Maybe there will be 10 because it's called 10 Dance. Although there were only 6 volumes of 10 Count, and that was called 10 Count, so yeah. So there's like a nice example of like the art style in colour on the interior. I don't know, you can kind of get an idea of like what it looks like. I really like the art style. It's a little bit different. It's not quite as like shoujo-y looking as a lot of other dudes in yaoi can appear, but yeah, I really like this one. I didn't think I would. There's a lot more going on in this one though. I feel like we're gonna get a lot more to do with like the characters' backstories and their origins. It's not angsty, but I feel like there's this sort of like undertone of like just angst that it's got to come out at some point. I feel it, I sense it. Yeah, two dudes with like really deep-seated feelings to do with dancing together. I don't know, I don't know whether this is specifically a yaoi. I think it's a slow burn because there's nothing that, like, there's basically nothing actually really happens in this book. I can't remember if they kiss or anything. I mean, they definitely do dance together, but I expect this one to be a slow burn, and I don't know whether it's going to be explicit at any point, like visually on the page. I don't know whether it's that kind of book. It might just be like more of like a romance than like hentai. But yeah, I really like this one. I'm definitely going to go out and buy like every single, I think I have ordered like a lot of the other volumes, but as long as this keeps coming out, I will keep buying it, because yeah, I really liked it. I didn't expect to, but I did. Oh my god. Okay, my next one, absolute classic. If you're buying yaoi manga or like shonen ai and you haven't heard of this or read it already, have you ever googled? Highly doubt it. It is of course 7 Days, which is by Venio Tachibana and Rihito Takerai is the artist. So Rihito Takerai, who did 10 Count. I probably should have spoken about these back to back. I'm not that smart. Yeah, 7 Days. The basic premise is there's a very popular, I think it's like a first year at this school, and every day on Monday a new girl asks him out, and he will always say yes to the first person that asks him out, and by the end of the week he will break up with them. And it's like a repeating cycle, and the whole school knows this. And so on Monday, I think another guy like just sort of asks him out as a bit of a joke, but he takes it seriously, and so they're dating for a week. And this is the full tankobon volume, so I think it's split into like Monday to Thursday and then Friday to Sunday and sold in 2 volumes, but this is like the whole full chunky boy volume. It's definitely interesting seeing how Rihito Takerai's artwork has evolved, because this is like, they're very shoujo looking in this. It's, have a good old nosy at like the art style. I feel like you can probably see what I mean when I say that like they're very, I know it's probably because they're high schoolers and they're younger, but yeah, this is it feels like I'm reading like a shoujo manga but just like shonen ai style. So obviously this is a bit of like a thicker chunky story. I feel like everyone knows this already. It's very popular, it keeps being reprinted. This is the first time I've been able to find it in print. It's sold out a lot, but it does get reprinted fairly often. Yeah, so I don't remember that much about this one. It was sort of like, it was quite slow. There was like a lot of whole on again, off again, sort of like, do they actually like each other? Does one of them sort of like, a lot of like miscommunication trope and a lot of like misunderstanding trope. And I feel like, you know, it's that thing of if characters just sat down and had an honest chat in a room for like 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes, then this book would be like this thick. And yeah, I feel like I don't have to talk about it that much. Everyone already knows this volume. I've just finally bought it. Okay, the next, and I will be honest about all of these, so the next yaoi manga is honestly not one that I enjoyed, and I will explain why. So this is Melting Lover, and it is by Bukuro Yamada. I don't know, the cover for this one was kind of intriguing. It's like, it is a dude melting into another dude. You know what this reminds me of? You know that one scene, like that one clip in the Me 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 music video? That is what this reminds me of. Yeah, it had like a nice like slip cover, and then like this under the like a dust jacket. So I don't know, I thought this was gonna be really good. It did indeed fucking suck, my dudes. I'm really sorry to say that. I'm not normally that harsh. I've been doing book reviews, so like I feel like I'm gonna be really harsh on this. But it did just suck, and I just didn't like it. I just felt it like it was just bad in all aspects. Which I know is really harsh, and you know, this is somebody's like artwork and their story, and like they've clearly put a lot of like of their time and effort into this. So this honestly is just my opinion. It's just, it doesn't tick any of the boxes for things that I personally enjoy. So I am kind of going to spoil the story from this. I'll be honest, I don't remember much. I feel like though there really wasn't very much to remember. The basic premise of the story is that I cannot remember who's who. I think this guy, the blonde guy, finds a literal amorphous blob of goo, and the goo is fleeing from something or someone. It never tells you who or what the consequences are, and you never see, it never comes back up. It literally never comes back up. There's no, it's mentioned once, and then the questions are raised, and then I feel like the author forgot. Like, there's no explanation of what this goo is, or where it came from, or who or what was chasing it, or what like the consequences are of it being found. And like, after being hid by this other guy for like one time, then it never comes up again. It's like, oh, I guess they're just not looking for this, I don't know, fucking sentient goo anymore. I don't really know what to say. I'm annoyed. I can't find a picture of the blob, but picture a blobfish. It's the same. Anyway, so he lets the blob like hide with him, I guess, like takes in the blob. It's just yaoi flubber. I don't know how to put it. Takes in the blob like off the fucking street. Don't know where it came from, don't know where it's going, but he takes it in. The blob can like, I don't know, transform itself into, I guess, anyone, maybe anything, I don't know, but I think it's just people in this. He has the blob transform into like, to look exactly like a guy that he has a crush on. It's weird to begin with. So yeah, the setup is there's a blob who is hiding in the house of a guy, and their arrangement is that as long as he looks and pretends to be this particular person, that's like their arrangement. And like the blonde guy whose house it is so abusive to this blob. Like, he talks down to him, he's mean to him all the time, tells him he's useless. Like, he's just it's really mild, to be fair, but you know, is highly verbally abusive to this blob, tells him he's useless and all this sort of stuff. If you don't like that sort of thing in a relationship, because why would you? I don't know, there is no basis to the relationship beyond Stockholm syndrome kind of thing, or blob has literally no one else in the whole world that they've ever met or talked to, I guess. I don't really know. They have nowhere else to go, so they're stuck with this guy. Blob actually falls in love with nasty abusive guy. Nasty abusive guy runs into the actual real person he has a crush on, who's like married with kids, gets upset, goes home, meets Blob on the way, kisses Blob. I think that's it. I think that's the whole plot. I literally remember nothing else about this book. Oh no, that was it. There was a second story in here. So that's Blob's story. There was no plot, there was no character development, there was no chemistry between the two. It's not even two people. it's a man and a blob that can look like other men. I don't know, it wasn't sexy. I guess if you're like really into, like, I don't know, YouTube slime tutorials, this may be the one for you, but otherwise, what the fuck? There's nothing good here. The art style, I'll be honest, like, there is one. It's not that great. I suppose it depends on, like, there's nothing objectively that wrong with it. There's nothing like, there's no like bad anatomy that I can remember, but I don't know, there's nothing like that aesthetically pleasing about it. It's just very simple black and white lines on a page. I know that's all manga, but like a lot of them have a style that's really good, and I'll get to that in some others, but this one was sort of very basic. There was another story in here about like somebody's guardian angel. There's a guy walking around, he's killed somebody at the start. They walk around and for a long time sort of not actually discussing it. And then the guy dies, and the angel's just like, what? And there might have been like some furry shit at the end, I don't remember. It was so forgettable, the stories were bad, the characters were bad, there was literally no plot, no payoff. I don't understand what was it was genuinely difficult to follow some of these stories just because of how little story they were. Like, I can't even speak. I just feel like there was no thread to follow. It was just random scenes smushed together. Didn't really make sense. I'm never gonna buy anything from this mangaka again. Maybe like, I don't know, maybe this is like their first work. You know, sometimes the first things that people do aren't always the best. I just did not think this was worth my money, and I didn't enjoy any of it, and I'm sorry, it sucked. It exists. Look at the Amazon reviews. I'm sure somebody else that liked it for some reason, maybe you will also like it, but I personally highly doubt that, because I just thought it was shit. I'm sorry. I'm here to tell you which yaois to, like, you know, spend your time on, invest yourself in, and the ones to avoid, that's one to avoid. So when I mentioned art styles, I think this creator does have a very noticeable art style, because I followed their work for a while and they finally started becoming available in English, and I'm so pleased about it. Yeah, so that is 4th generation head Tatsuyuki Oyamato. Sorry, it's a very long title. But this is by Scarlett Berrico. Scarlett Berrico, I think, is very well known. I don't understand why her works haven't been printed very much in English before, but a lot of them are coming out now. I think I might have already owned one, but I definitely have pre-ordered some others. And yeah, it just seems like it's currently a good time for yaoi getting printed in English, so I can finally own some of it. Jackass. It was Jackass. I owned that one. Okay, sorry, moving on. Yes, I think the basic premise is this guy who is like the heir to a like a Yakuza family. I think he might actually, I don't know whether he's like actually the head or still just like the son of the current head. I forget. But he does not want to be. He does not want that lifestyle. He's just no responsibility, none of that. And I can't remember exactly how he meets this other guy, but this other guy is very obsessed with him, very much so, and they kind of start a relationship. There's some weird stuff with another guy. Yeah, a lot of typical yaoi trope themes in here. It's very kind of like, not insta-lovey, but it's very insta-fucky. Is that a new term? Can we use that? Definitely has multiple sexy scenes. Maybe some of them are not for everyone. I still recommend it. I don't remember what book number we're on, but the next one is different. This is not Japanese actually, and it's a different format to all the rest. So this is Hell and High Water, and this is by Charlie Cocket, I don't know. Yeah, so the art on this is by Son Gaipi or Gaipi. They do have another alias. Basically, the way that these work are, these tend to be released as like text short stories, novellas, and then this particular artist has illustrated several mangas, but like 4 different people. I think I have ordered some of their other work. Basically, they're an artist who they will turn somebody else's work that already exists in print and they'll turn it into a manga. That makes sense, right? I hope I've like explained that in a way that makes sense. So this one, it does follow like an English reading pattern, like the spine is, so Japanese book, spine on this side, English book, spine on this side, and I think they're all in English by default. So this is kind of like, this is more plot heavy. The plot is still fairly kind of inconsequential, sort of, but it's much more plot heavy than like a lot of the other stuff in here. So this is a sort of like alternate universe kind of sci-fi-ish. I don't recall exactly like how things got to be how they are, but all you really need to know is that certain members of society, it might be like half of people or something like that, can all turn into like an animal, and I think for the most part they tend to be like big cats or canines or things like that, you know. It's got a bit of a furry vibe, I will be honest, but for the most part they're humans. They can also transform. It does explain why in the book, I just don't remember because I'm a bit dumb. So they have like tactical teams of like a police force, I guess, and so because there are like these fantastical shapeshiftery people, they now have like police forces to deal specifically with like those types of people, and the police force is also made up of like shapeshiftery type people, so and also non-shapeshiftery type people as well. Yeah, so basically it's the story of this blonde dude joining like the big guy's team, and they, I guess, work together to solve furry shape-shifting related crimes and things. There's like a big backstory. You get to learn like a lot about the character's past. It's a slightly chunkier volume than like your standard standalone. The art reminds me much more of like a webcomic in terms of like style and quality. I think I enjoyed this one. It wasn't my favourite. There definitely was some angst in there, which I always appreciate because, you know, no, I'm just here for the angst, really. I am that bitch, in fact. But yeah, I remember liking this one. I feel like if you're the kind of person that either you're a furry or you like shapeshiftery things, or like kind of like buddy cop dramas but where one cop is a panther, might be the one for you. I'm definitely going to, as I said, I think I've ordered some of this artists' other adaptations of other works. Obviously the sort of story itself will be different every time because it's a different author writing every story, but the art style will be the same every time. So if you don't like this particular story but you do like the kind of art style you see here, then like maybe try one of their other works. Okay, next, this one is the first in a series, I think, so this might be like a more of a like a long haul story, and that is Love in Limbo. It just says story and art by Haiji. Yeah, I think the basic kind of premise of this is that big scary weird looking dude I guess dies, wakes up in the afterlife, no memory of their former life, and they have to, I think they're like a guardian reaper type person. They sort of like protect the afterlife from something. It's been a while since I've read it, so I forget. But they have a job. They have a very specific assigned job that involves like fantastical afterlife anime style fighting stuff. And they have like an assistant type person or somebody that like already existed in this world, and they're like telling them like what their job is, what their role is. I think they live together. Anyway, yeah, there's kind of a relationship forming up between these two. Personally, it was a bit too slow for my tastes. I honestly just wasn't that much of a fan of like the setup and I guess how long it took to get to that point. So that is just personal taste for me. In books, I love fantasy, but I have a lot of fantasy, I read a lot of fantasy, it's like my favourite genre ever. However, in anime and manga, I don't know why, I just really hate fantasy, especially anything isekai. It's not for me, I don't enjoy it. I could not tell you why, I really don't know why. He wakes up in the afterlife, so that is technically like another world, whatever. It feels like it has a very vague fantasy kind of setup, like an environment. That's the backdrop, and I'm just personally not into it. I might maybe at some point try the second volume. Yeah, I feel like if this is the sort of genre that you're into, then totally go for it, because like the art style is nice and like it was cute. I remember it being like kind of humorous at some point, but it just, I don't know, it just didn't hook me personally. So there's nothing wrong with it, just my personal taste not quite there. So the next book I picked up was Liquor and Cigarettes by, is it Ranmaru Zaria? Sort of basic setup for this one is that there are two shopkeepers that like work across from one another. One of them sells, I think, just like cigarettes, and then this guy sells mainly liquor, but I think like he's a real lightweight. He can't handle his alcohol, he doesn't really drink, he gets really drunk after like 2 beers. And I think there's like an alcohol tasting festival slash competition thing going on in like their little tourist town place, so like this guy is trying to teach the other guy to be able to hold his liquor. You can kind of see where it's going. It's a questionable setup at best, but if you're okay with it, then you know, it's fun. I personally really like the art style in this one. I'm trying to find like a decent page. Yeah, so this is the kind of art style that you'll see. I kind of really like it. I think it's really nice. I think this mangaka likes to do quite a lot with like shading and halftones and that sort of thing, like more than a lot of other sort of yaoi does, really. This one was explicit. I think this one is just like a one-shot. Yeah, it was good, it was cute, it was fairly like basic setup as a plot is, but like, you know, it is what it is and it did what it did, and yeah, I'd recommend this one. I liked it. Okay, and then the last two books I have come as a pair, and they're also by Ranmaru Zaria, and they are Coyote Volume 1 and Volume 2. And I think the third volume of Coyote is either out or you can pre-order it or something. I think it's still on pre-order. I'm not entirely sure. So this is like a longer ongoing story. Again, kind of furry vibes. No, it's just werewolves, it's fine. Okay, I had to check for a minute because like I have what I like to think are standards. So I won't spoil volume 2. I really want to because there's a quote in there that I literally lost my mind over, but you know, I'll talk about it in some other video. But the basic plot is this guy who is a werewolf, and he frequents this bar where this other guy I think like plays piano, and I think it's like he comes into heat, it's mating season, it's that old trope, you know the one. And the other guy finds out that he's a werewolf and offers his help. How else do you want me to put it? Yeah, so that's sort of like the basic setup. There's a lot of other stuff going on. There's kind of like, it's the whole like werewolf versus werewolf hunters kind of trope. It is modern day. And yeah, again, I do really like the art style that this mangaka has. There's a lot of like light and shadow, and obviously because this is kind of like a bit of like a, I don't know, darker horror sci-fi. It's not that dark. It's I just mean like compared to some of the others which are just like, you know, whimsical university dates. It's like there's werewolves and people dying occasionally, so that sort of thing. But yeah, I like this one. I like when Yaoi has a plot, and I like when that plot is angsty, and because there are 3 volumes, I think I have read both these volumes, but there's more coming out. I don't know whether it will end after 3 or whether it's going to be ongoing, but I definitely plan to keep up with the series. I'm not a big fan of werewolves in general. I'm much more of like a vampires type person, you know. I'll make an exception. It's like, it's a little bit gothic, it's Halloween. Yeah, if you want like a manga to read, a yaoi to read at Halloween, you know, werewolves. I'm not a fan of the whole mating season being in heat sort of trope thing, but you know, you've got to get the plot going somehow, and that's how it does it. Yeah, so those were my 13, I think, yaoi mangas that I hauled. I definitely have a lot more to get through. There's a lot more I need to read, and like a lot more that I need to haul. I have a lot of things on pre-order. It's been a good year, I think, for like yaoi and BL in manga. I feel like this is a pretty good sizable haul. I feel like this all arrived in fairly quick succession. I think this was like either 1 or 2 Amazon orders, and I did read it all in like, I want to say like a day or 2 days or something, because I had nothing better to do. So this is why I'm hauling so much right now. So yeah, that was it. I've really forgotten how I'm supposed to do these videos. I've been doing book reviews, so this is why this is like a nice sort of like, you know, get back into the swing of things. Yeah, I guess let me know if you've read any of those, if you plan to read any, if you have any suggestions for me, please. I am all here for the suggestions. I'll read basically anything. I do have some standards, but more or less anything. Yeah, I forget how to end videos, so I guess sorry for the delay between posting if anyone noticed. I don't think anyone cares whether I'm here or not. Hopefully you enjoyed or found this useful or entertaining or something like that. So yeah, I'm gonna go. Peace out and have a nice Halloween. Bye.